Ana De Armas, Vanessa Kirby, Sydney Sweeney, and many more, the simp in me was so excited for Eden. I'm still at TIFF, and this is the first movie I considered skipping because I'm just so tired. But I'm so glad I didn't, because this was surprisingly great. Directed by Ron Howard, Eden is a historical thriller taking place on an isolated island as the threat of more visitors takes humans back to their natural form, animals. I knew nothing about this movie going in. There still isn't a trailer release. We only have about 5 pictures, which is literally all I can use in this video. But from what I started this video off with, you guys know it has an absolutely stacked cast. I want to talk about pretty much every single performance because there's only these like main 5 to 6 actors in the film, not much else going on. As for the general cast, starting with Jude Law, he plays the original guy on this island that everyone else is coming to, and he is great in this film. He plays a really unique character. I would say on a technical level, he is the protagonist. He's the main thing that's moving the plot forward from the very beginning to the final moments of this film. But I would say Ana De Armas' character is more essential as a story catalyst. And then you have Daniel Bruhl, who I just wasn't expecting much going in. And his chemistry with Sydney Sweeney is great, even though I think his performance is miles better than hers. And then we have Vanessa Kirby. The only reason I don't want to talk about her for too long is because she just doesn't have much material to work with. She probably has the least amount of screen time from all of these characters that I'm going to talk about. And that just kind of sucks because she is such a great actress, and the moment she is on screen is absolutely amazing. She's a perfect part of the story. She just doesn't have that much other stuff to do. And then we get to the 2 actresses I really want to talk about, one for a really good reason and the other for a really bad and honestly disappointing reason, but I'm also not surprised. For starters, Sydney Sweeney. I still just don't really find her interesting as an actress. I haven't seen Euphoria, but I've seen Immaculate, I've seen Anyone But You, and now I'm one of the first people in the world to see Eden, and I think it's still safe to say that she just can't act, but she can sure as hell scream. If you've seen Immaculate, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and this movie is no different. She has multiple moments where she's absolutely screaming her lungs out, and it works. That is great, but she starts off this movie with what I believe is the first couple lines of dialogue, and everyone in this film is doing an accent. They all sound different than they normally do, if I'm not mistaken, and holy shit is Sydney Sweeney's accent bad. The first second she started talking, I was basically giggling under my breath because it sounded so unnatural. She just can't do it. I'm so sorry. It just doesn't work for me at all. This is completely different than anything else she's played. It is probably her most interesting character that she's played. She has the most material to work with out of any of her roles, but I just don't really, I think everything decent about her performance comes from all of the other actors and actresses around her. But on the good side of the performances, you have Ana De Armas. This is by far her best performance of her entire career. Honestly, the only competition to that is Knives Out, and I think this is better. She is the main catalyst of this movie. She is the villainous figure. She's the one coming to this island and basically causing all of this havoc. This movie is brutal, and this movie is exhilarating, and it's strictly because of just honestly the full charisma but also fear that Ana De Armas puts into you as the viewer. She gets the most material to work with in the entirety of this movie just because she's doing the most interactions with all of the different characters. She truly is just plotting on everyone, and it is super exciting to watch. Like I said before, this was the first movie I truly considered skipping at the festival, but I'm so glad I didn't because from the first to the final second that Ana De Armas was on screen, I was absolutely entranced. I'm a big fan of her as an actress, but a lot of her work really isn't good. I don't know what her agent has been doing. She really hasn't gotten to showcase her talent in anything but Knives Out and Blade Runner 2049, but luckily this is one of those moments. This is an absolutely stacked cast other than the one bad performance I mentioned. Ana De Armas just tops all of them. But moving away from the performances, I think the story is also super strong. The overall premise is kind of basic when you boil it down to the details. It's just like they're going to an island, someone wants one thing, there's 2 other families here, and everyone wants different things. They're trying to plot against each other. That's a super basic premise, but it works super well. And the details and the intricacies are super elevated by the character dynamics. It drags a little bit towards the end in my opinion, but there's so many twists and turns that are super exciting. You might find them cheap at times, but for me personally, it really worked because I was super invested in all of the character relationships that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy betrayed this guy and this girl did that. And it was super exciting. Maybe it was just 9:30 in the morning and I needed something fun. And thematically, this movie was also way more interesting than I expected. Jude Law wants to escape the bounds of humanity. Daniel Bruhl's family just wants to help their son, and Ana De Armas just wants fame. These are the motivations at the very beginning of this film, but they completely shift throughout the runtime, and that's exactly what I love. You can tell that characters are betraying one another or betraying their beliefs, and that's perfectly represented in the screenplay. Though I will say the screenplay is not super strong just because it doesn't really do anything new. I feel like the conflicts do get a little bit repetitive, and the whole thing kind of just feels like dress up. Maybe it's because the story is so isolated and there's such a small amount of characters and small amount of sets. I just wasn't really immersed, but I've also been watching like 3 to 5 movies a day, so I don't know how immersed I can be in movies for right now. At the end of the day, I really loved Eden. The character dynamics work perfectly. Ana De Armas gives a career best performance, and overall, it's just a really, really fun time. Overall, I'm going to give Eden a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely recommend checking out. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.